When Genshin Impact was first announced, nobody, absolutely nobody, expected the game to be the monolithic success, the titan in the gacha industry that it has become. When the game launched, it accumulated 10 million global pre-registrations. That, for a gacha game, was unheard of. This set the standard. Any gacha game that could or would be considered a success would need to rival numbers approximately akin to Genshin Impact. If you did not have pre-registration numbers in the millions, people would already write the game off as dead. Leading up to Tower Fantasy's release, they acquired 4 million pre-registered players. This was almost half of what Genshin had acquired leading up to their release. Players expected Tower Fantasy to also be an enormous success due to the overwhelming number of pre-registered players that were signing up ready to play. 4 million was considered an overwhelming number. 10 million for Genshin was unheard of and was unmatched. That is until Honkai Star Rail came out. People talked crap about Honkai Star Rail. They were claiming the game wasn't going to be a success because it wasn't an action game. They were claiming it was going to fail because it was turn-based. They were claiming that the segregated world was going to hinder it. There were countless complaints. Everyone was trying to hinder the game's success before it came out. This impacted Hoyo, no doubt, because their milestones went from 500,000 pre-registrations up to 5 million, which meant at the time they didn't expect more than 5 million players to be interested in the game. Little did they know, they absolutely destroyed every single milestone, with the game launching with over 10 million pre-registered players, just like Genshin. And to date, it continues to make the equivalent of what Genshin Impact makes per month, going as far as actually eclipsing Genshin Impact probably more often than not, going to show that Honkai Star Rail has become a major earner for Hoyo. Now, before we get into the bulk of what I want to talk about, I want to take a moment to thank my incredible patrons over on Patreon, who allow for me to continue to do dedicated videos like this every single day. You guys are incredible, and I cannot thank you all enough for the support. Now let's talk Zenless and let's talk Wuthering Waves. In 2023, players believed that 10 million pre-registered players was the ceiling, that you couldn't really push beyond that. Little did they know, just 1 year later in 2024, not one, but 2 games would successfully push beyond the boundaries that not only Genshin Impact, but also Honkai Star Rail set. Zenless Zone Zero, according to their official website, has milestones from 15 million all the way to 40 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. Honkai Star Rail had milestones leading up to 5 million. Both Genshin and Honkai Star Rail managed to accumulate 10 million pre-registered players. Zenless Zone Zero, as of recording this video at 6 p.m. on April 28, 2024, has 32,786,624 pre-registered players. That is 3 times more than Honkai Star Rail. That is 3 times more than Genshin Impact. That is more than Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail combined. There is more hype, there is more anticipation for Zenless Zone Zero than any Hoyo game released before it. That isn't to say Zenless Zone Zero is going to be a monumental success like both Genshin and Honkai Star Rail have been, but if it does, Hoyo are going to be making so much money, they're not going to know what to do with it. And if you guys are looking to make a donation, then I know a gacha content creator that would be more than happy to take some of that spare cash. The only non-Hoyo game that has managed to accumulate almost 5 million pre-registered players was Tower Fantasy, until now. Navigating on over to the official Wuthering Waves website at 6 p.m. April 28, 2024, there are 22,152,937 pre-registered players. Yes, you heard that correctly. There is a non-Hoyo game that has accumulated more than the Tower Fantasy, 4 million. There is a non-Hoyo game that accumulated more pre-registered players then Genshin Impact, then Honkai Star Rail. Kudo Games have managed to accumulate more interested players than Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact both combined. There are two different gacha games coexisting right now that have managed to accumulate more than double the interested player base of the two highest grossing, most popular gacha games right now. Nobody thought we were gonna go beyond 10 million. People thought that was a stretch. When Zenless managed to cross 20 million, they're like, well, that's 1 in a million. And then Wuthering Waves manages to cross 20 million. What do you call that? Like, we're in this weird state right now where high quality gacha games like Zenless, like Wuthering Waves, both of which might do incredibly well, become enormous successes, or both might end up ultimately flopping, who knows? But we're at this state where high quality gacha games are accumulating more attention, accruing more interest than ever. These games have the potential now to rival mainstream AAA games. They have the potential to actually rival Hoyo games, to rival Genshin Impact or Honkai Star Rail. Azure Pamelia is gonna come out, Arknight's Enfield's gonna come out, Project Mugen's gonna come out. Wuthering Waves has proven that a non-Hoyo game is capable of accumulating the same interest and the same hype as a Hoyo game. Whether it ultimately ends up being of the same quality and of the same caliber remains to be seen. I played Wuthering Waves. I had an immense amount of fun in both the test phases that I got to participate in. But a test phase is very different to a live release. We don't know if Kudo are going to push out updates every 6 weeks for Wuthering Waves like Genshin does. We don't know the frequency, the size, or the scale of the updates. One thing we do know is that both Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves have shattered expectations. Nobody anticipated either of these games would accrue the interest that they have. Nobody believed that Genshin Impact could ever be rivaled until Honkai Star Rail did it, and Honkai Star Rail conquered it on numerous occasions. If Honkai Star Rail can do that, and both Zenless and Wuthering Waves have more interest in Honkai Star Rail, both these games have the potential to do so as well. Neither probably will, but they don't need to rival Genshin. They need to establish their own identity, garner their own player base, and establish themselves as games that are independent of Genshin. 2024 has proven there is more interest in gacha games now than there was a year ago, than there was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and with the immense amount of very high quality upcoming gacha games coming in 2025 and beyond, the interest is only going to increase. I am very happy, I am very lucky to have gotten into the gacha genre now before it's too late, and there are hundreds or thousands of content creators covering all these new big games, because in the coming years I feel like it's going to be impossible to get into this genre because it's going to be saturated with creators, potentially saturated with games too. But I guarantee you we're going to be playing all of them. Now, if none of these games are of any interest to you, absolutely no problem. Got you covered with 2 different videos on screen right now that might be more up your alley.